I moved to the UK in 2011 to study, and very soon, I realized that the money that I saved was not enough to cover even my basic needs. So I thought, okay, let's try to find a job, let's do this. At the time, I was living in Reading, which is a very white, middle/upper class town. But at the time, it didn't really kind of like click. I was scrolling through the internet, and I found some jobs that I was kind of like interested in. I wasn't going for like a CEO position or anything like that. I thought the application process was pretty straightforward, but by the time I had to fill out the monitoring form, they call it this monitoring form, well, that was an experience. Because obviously it was as long as my arm, and it was very restrictive at the same time, if that makes any sense. So I was kind of forced to choose between male or female as gender. Maybe I don't identify as male or as female. And I was only given the options of gay, lesbian, bisexual, or prefer not to disclose sexuality. There was no option of non-binary, pansexual, asexual, for example. And at the time, I remember thinking to myself, what if I do prefer to say, and I don't want to be like sent back into the closet by a monitoring form? This was interesting. And moving on to the race bit of the monitoring form. So I was born in Greece, but my families are refugees from Turkey and Egypt, and I identify as mixed race. Now geographically, Turkey is in Asia, and Egypt is Africa. So that makes my kind of like answer a little bit more complicated. And to be fair, I was given the option of other. It was fine, I filled that out. But I also remember that at the time I was thinking that these kind of monitoring forms were not created for the BAME or nor the LGBT community. And I thought that was really bizarre. And that kind of like triggered a series of questions, whether the way I respond to the monitoring form will affect the way that my CV is perceived, or the way that like I will be treated if I'm called in for an interview, and if my kind of previous working experience will be judged by my monitoring form. And I started thinking of myself as a HR checkbox. Sorry. Well, to cut the long story short, I was very pleasantly surprised that I was offered like a gazillion interviews. And I thought, that's really easy, I'll do it again. But I didn't get any of the jobs. So I was like, hang on a minute, I nailed that one. Why didn't I get it? And I started thinking, like, I started being skeptical about not only the interview process, but the way that the monitoring form is kind of perceived. Yes, after a few months, and I say a few months only, I got a job in an online educational platform. And literally the moment I walked in, I realized I was the only BAME and the only openly LGBT person in the whole company. And that was like a really bizarre kind of feeling, because when I was in Greece, I was working for an NGO as a project manager, and I was used to kind of being around people of color, around LGBT people, and I was kind of able to express who I am and allow the space for people to express who they are. So I was like, this is really weird. And it was very obvious to me right from the get-go that I wasn't like part of the team. I was the other. I was kind of excluded from the socials, because I didn't get the email. I wasn't like CC'd onto the email. And my colleagues were very polite, to the point that I was like almost rude. They were so polite because they were afraid to like be around me because I was BAME LGBT, which is totally bizarre. And it does hurt. It does hurt. So when I was living in Reading, I wasn't a student, so Reading is a big like student town. I had no friends. I wasn't hanging out with any of my colleagues. There were no kind of LGBT BAME groups that kind of like were there for me. So I went through like a very lonely phase, but I saved a lot of money. And I took all the money. I was like, no, well, I have friends in Cardiff. I love Welsh people. It's so cute. So I moved to Cardiff. But it did take me like a year to get a job here. And obviously I had the savings, I was serving tables, was looking for a job and so on and so forth. And I managed to find a job at a law firm. I'm not going to name names.
Drop it.
Right, so the atmosphere was completely different. Right from the get-go, I was like welcomed by everyone. I was part of the team, I was part of the group, and I was so happy. I was so excited. I was living my best life. And that kind of like gave me the confidence to have a voice within the firm and to like stand up and be who I am and kind of help the firm to kind of progress and expand. I was kind of promoted to business development executive, which is exactly what I wanted. And I had a big say on that kind of expansion. I wasn't the other. But that kind of idyllic state lasted only for like a couple of years. When one of the partners kind of left the firm and another one joined, and I think it's very like, it was a choice, like he chose to just recruit white, cisgender men. And pretty much almost overnight, my relationship with my colleagues changed. Because I was only working with that particular group of people, I was seen in a very particular light. I was the bisexual, I was one of the lads, I was the wing man when we were out on the pool, that kind of thing. It's also kind of in a way erased a part of my sexuality, which is bi, lesbian. And then kind of things deteriorated because I realized that the marketing exec was getting paid 30% more than I was, and I didn't have any bonuses. And the new partner started making comments like, please enunciate. I can't understand you, and what are you? My clients that I worked really hard to get were taken away from me, and I was given the office that really nobody wanted. So in other words, I was forced to quit. My mental health was suffering because I was again the foreigner, I was the other, I was the LGBT. I think in those situations I kind of like instinctively knew what to do, so I took like a few months off to kind of like calm myself down and see what I want to do, where I want to go, and so on and so forth. And my choice was to go back to uni. I did my second master's here at Cardiff University on educational policy, and I got an entry-level job at Cardiff Council. I swear this is not applying for Cardiff Council. At first, because of my past experiences, I was, and I'm really sorry to say, I was really suspicious of my colleagues, and I was also really afraid that if I made any mistakes, that they would judge me based on my cultural background and not my actual ability. Also, because of that, I was over kind of stressed about work, and I kind of got myself back in the closet once again. Now, the council has the networks, as Nancy mentioned, and that was a level of safety and a level of employee engagement that I haven't kind of experienced before. But it still took me a while to open up. Through those networks, I met people that have gone through the same or similar experiences as myself, and that was very, very comforting. For years now, I'm part of the LGBT and the Women's Network, and I'm in the same group of the BAME network. I do have a voice in the council, and I'm really, really happy to use that voice. I meet up with the CEO, the leader, and HR on a regular basis to inform them of what needs to be changed to make the BAME employees feel more confident, and how we as a BAME network will propose these changes to be made in a sensitive kind of way. I'm really proud to say that I have changed internal policies, and I know how positive engagement can affect not only the employees' mental health, but also can affect like the day-to-day performance. Right now, I am coordinating the Equalities Program for the entire council, which includes sessions on Equality Act, race and religion awareness, disability awareness, British Sign Language, and many others. I have dedicated the last 3 years I've been working with the council in taking all the negativity that I was faced with throughout my employment, and obviously, unfortunately, the growing stigma against BAME and LGBT, and transform it into something positive, not only for Cardiff Council, but also for Cardiff. Because, as you know very well, Cardiff is a diverse capital, and the BAME and LGBT communities need to be celebrated. So thank you, Liz, for doing that for us.
Thank you for listening.